Hi everybody, so this video goes along with the narrative writing PowerPoint on the class site. That's either above or below this video. So while I am talking, please open up the PowerPoint and follow along there. You don't need to be looking at my face in this video, just be listening to my voice while you follow along in the PowerPoint. We're starting a new unit in writing this week, which is why I decided to make a video, because some things are just easier to explain with words than in written form. So while you are following along and listening, pause when you need to pause, or pause when you have a question, and then you can send me a message saying, I didn't know what you meant in this part of the video. So on the class site, please open up the narrative writing PowerPoint, and I'll let you know when I go to the next slide. In the PowerPoint, I let you know when the first lesson has ended, so you can stop there if you want, or you can keep going to get more done in one day, but you don't have to. So, narrative essay writing. What is narrative essay writing? So narrative essay writing is basically, we're story writing, but we're writing about things that have happened in our lives, written from our own perspective. You'll be zooming in on a small moment in your life, so we're not writing about things that happened from when we were born until right now in our life, because that would be a biography of ourselves. So we're writing just a small moment. So when we start to pick things to write about, it's just a tiny moment in our lives. So right now, if you can find a lined piece of paper in your writing section, if that's your binder or your duotang, or if you're typing, and title it Quick Write number 1. Write the date at the top. And then, can you write about a time that you were embarrassed? Okay, so think about that for a moment. Write about a time that you felt embarrassed. You're going to put a timer on to see if you can write about for about 5 minutes. When you're writing, can we please not include any quotation marks? I know that when we think of storytelling, we think of quotation marks, but just to keep things simple, we're not going to do quotation marks just yet. Don't worry about spelling, grammar, or punctuation, and don't worry about creating multiple paragraphs. And don't worry about including a proper intro or conclusion. Please just focus on getting all of your ideas out and onto the paper. Okay, so there's my sample on the next one that I will read aloud to you. Sorry, Rose just wants to get out 1 second. Okay, so quick write number 1. So you're going to write about a time that you were embarrassed. So I'll read you my sample on the next one. Well, actually, I won't read it aloud. You can just pause the video here to read it there. So I wasn't thinking about an intro conclusion, not multiple paragraphs, just getting as many ideas out as I can. Okay, so there's my sample, and then if you could write a sample, a quick write for yourself for about 5 minutes. So at this point, pause the video, and then when you're done writing, press play again. Okay, so now going to the next slide. Stories are everywhere, so you're already telling stories every day. You gather on the playground to talk about that thing that happened over the weekend. You sit at lunch and describe an argument you had with a sibling. Without even thinking about it, you begin sentences with "this one time," and you launch into stories about your childhood experiences. You're all natural storytellers. Learning how to do it well on paper is simply a matter of studying good models, then practicing what those writers do. So we all tell stories when we do check-in on Tuesday and Fridays over MS Teams. You're telling stories. When we do our circle in the classroom after a weekend, you're telling stories. Many of you guys just come in the morning and have stories to tell me or your friends. So we're all storytellers. So next slide. What's in a narrative essay? So at the beginning of the year, we did lots of paragraph writing, which is just one paragraph. And then term 2, we focused on persuasive essay writing. and which was multiple paragraphs. So we had our intro paragraphs, all of our body, and then conclusion. So our narrative essay is pretty similar. There's 3 parts. We have our intro, a body, and a conclusion. So the same 3 things. Our intro is made up of a hook and a thesis. Our body includes a few paragraphs, and then our conclusion. So the body might be different for everybody. Some people might just have 2 paragraphs in their body for now, and that's fine. Some people might be putting more than that. Okay, so go to the next slide where we talk about what an intro is. So keep in mind, if you feel like you need a break, just press pause and then come back to it whenever. So, introduction is made up of the hook and the thesis, okay? So the hook comes first. The intro of a narrative essay is the paragraph that begins your story. You describe the setting, you introduce the characters, and you prepare your audience for what's to come in the rest of your story. So the narrative hook is a part of the intro, usually the first few sentences, that grab your reader's attention. It helps set the stage and helps the readers guess what's going to come in the essay. So that's what the hook is. So your intro, your first paragraph, is the hook and thesis. That's the same paragraph. Okay, so here is an example. So go to the next slide. Intro hook example should be at the top of your PowerPoint. So let's pretend the title of an essay is called Frustration at the Airport. So here's the introduction paragraph. Okay, so the red is what the hook would be. So the hook can be more than one sentence. So here's the hook. I had never been more anxious in my life. I had just spent the last 3 endless hours trying to get to the airport so that I could travel home. So there's the hook. It grabs your attention, gives you a little bit of information. You're not totally sure what it's going to be about. Okay. The next sentence that's in black, that's the thesis. So we'll talk about that in a moment. But first of all, just focus on the hook. Those first 2 sentences grab our reader's attention. I've never been more anxious in my life. Whoa, what's this going to be about? I had just spent the last 3 endless hours trying to get to the airport so that I could travel home. So, gives me a little bit of insight into what this essay is going to be about. It's probably not about the best airport experience this person's ever had in their life. These first couple sentences tell me what this is going to be about. Okay, so go to the next slide. I'd like you to read the sentences below. Which 3 sentences would not be good as a narrative essay hook? So on your lined piece of paper, you wrote your quick write about when you were embarrassed. Underneath, can you write the 3 sentences that you think were not good hooks? So actually write the whole sentence out, not just the number. So if you think number 2, then actually write, it was freezing on that sad December day. So out of 1 to 10, which 3 do you feel are not very good hooks? Okay. And then when we chat on Friday, we'll go over this, which 3 people thought. Okay? So remember, a hook should capture your audience's attention. So if you feel that there's a sentence here that doesn't capture anyone's attention, then maybe that's not a good hook. Okay, next slide. So now it says thesis at the top. So remember, intro paragraph, we're still in the first paragraph of your essay. We've got the hook, and now we're ready for the thesis. So the thesis introduces the action that begins in the second paragraph. So here we are with the same intro, frustration at the airport. So we have the black writing, I'd never been more anxious in my life. I had just spent the last 3 endless hours trying to get to the airport so that I could travel home. That's the hook. And now the stuff in red is the thesis. Now, as I watched the bus driver set my luggage on the airport sidewalk, I realized that my frustration had only just begun. So that sentence as read is the thesis, because it moves into the next paragraph of the essay. It's like a transition into what's going to happen. Okay? So go to the next slide, and I give some more examples. I just realized that I'll just fix something here. Okay, so these are 2 examples of other thesis sentences. These would go at the end of your intro paragraph. So the first one says, I wanted my mother to watch my race down the steep hill, so I called out her name and then nudged my bike forward. Okay, so that would move us into the rest of the essay. The second one, since his pride would not allow him to apologize, Ken now had to fight the bully, and he was pretty sure that he would not win. Okay, so that moves us into the rest of the essay. We're not really sure what the essay is going to tell us, but this moves us into it. All right, so if you're feeling like you're needing a break, just take a pause, go get some water, walk around, go jump on your trampoline for a bit. If not, you can stay put and keep going. So, next slide. Now we're going to talk about the body. So we had the intro, first paragraph. Now we're done. The body. So the body contains most of the plot and supporting info. We will be organizing our paragraph by chronological order. So that means in order of when things happen. So first this, then this, then this, then this, in the end, this. Each paragraph gives more info about what happened. So the first paragraph is the first event. The second paragraph is the second event. The third, and so on, okay? So some of you might have 5 paragraphs in the middle because you want to talk about 5 different things that happened. So the length of the body is going to be different for each of you. All right, so I'm going to end there, and this video will end. If you'd like to keep going today, then you can go to the next video. Okay, so we'll stop there for lesson 1.